Hi folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode, HellFrost, the Player's Guide from Triple Ace Games. Now, this is a Savage Worlds setting book. So for those of you who are tired of my Savage Worlds reviews, go get a cup of coffee, go get a Danish, do what you need to do, make a cherry cheese Danish for me, please, and just sort of relax for a little bit. This is a fantasy setting. Unlike a lot of traditional Savage Worlds books, this is not one setting and adventures and everything you need contained in one volume. This is spread out over 3 volumes. This is the first. The other 2 are forthcoming as of the time of this review. This is the Player's Guide. There's also a Bestiary and a Gazetteer or a campaign setting that is also coming out. The Bestiary obviously contain all the critters you have to worry about, the Gazetteer being more of the sort of the setting, the kingdoms, the nations, and what's going on. This is a more traditional fantasy game than a lot of other Savage Worlds products. And I'm going to go back to one of my favorites, Sundered Skies, which is a fairly non-traditional fantasy game. In Sundered Skies, you have things like the floating airships, the world is blown up, the elves have become racist, domineering jerk-offs, for lack of a better word. The dwarves are, well, they're dwarves. They don't change all that much from setting to setting. This is a much more traditional fantasy setting where the elves are generally nice. They have their own little areas. The dwarves do what the dwarves do, which is mine and build. There are a halfling sort of race in this. Couple variations on the human theme. The main thing that makes HellFrost different than, say, Greyhawk, Realms, Birthright, etc., is the fact that about 500 years ago, there was a massive blizzard. Basically, the world started to descend into a new ice age. So this is almost Ice Age role-playing. Now, you don't have to worry about Ray Romano and Dennis Leary walking around doing voices for your game. What it means is that there's now a main glacier at the top called the HellFrost, and then a lot of the southern lands, the hearthlands are starting to suffer from a lot of this constant frost, constant winter. The kingdoms in here, as they're described, are interesting. The magic is broken up in several different ways. There's a standard herbalism approach. Then there is a new way of dealing with magic that does not deal with the power points. It's essentially you roll, and as long as you don't botch, you're all right. There are several different variations on that. There's high wizardry. A lot of the pronunciations and the words in this have a very Germanic Norse feel, I think, or maybe Old English is sort of what they were going for here. So you've got elementalism, standard sorcery, druidism. The problem is if you botch. Some years ago in this game, magic began to fail. There was something known as the siphoning, where if you really screwed up a spell, if you really mess up your spell, it can literally suck the magical energy right out of you. So you limit yourselves on the spells that you can cast, based mainly on the fact that it could really mess you up if you screw this up. This does not contain the power points that most other Savage Worlds magic systems use. So you don't have to worry about the extra pool of points to keep up with and how many you regenerate at this time. You roll, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, at-all. So along those lines, what else happens here? Well, the high wizardry, the way it works is that you take longer to cast your spell, and if you take even longer than you should, you get a bonus to it. The elementalism, you focus in on one of the standard elements. There's a relatively new style of magic, which is Hrim wizardry, I believe it's pronounced. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. I call Shantar. Then that is basically using the HellFrost, the new magical cold, to funnel your energies. I love this book. It is a fantastic, really neat fantasy setting. I read through this and I get the same sort of thrill I got when I read the Forgotten Realms campaign guide for the first time when I was in college. Or later on in college when I got my hands on From the Ashes, which was the reboot of the Greyhawk line after the wars. God, I love that book. I still get out and read it every now and then. I get that from this as well. There is an extensive, wonderfully done pantheon of a variety of gods, and it gives ideas for how the paladins, the holy warriors, and the priesthood works. Folks, I could rattle on forever about this game, and I won't, because I'm limited on time, and I want you to go out and get it. If you like Savage Worlds, or even if you're just mildly interested in Savage Worlds, if you want a traditional fantasy setting that has just a slightly different spin on it in that you're descending into the Ice Age that is very well detailed in terms of both the geography from what they presented, society, the different organizations, magic, religion. This is a great, great book for you to get your hands on. I'm very excited about the next 2 supplements. The only very minor thing that just throws me a little bit is the world is called Rassilon, and I immediately, when I hear Rassilon, I go to one of the 3 founding Time Lords of Gallifreyan society, but as soon as I turn that off, I'm just fine. So, get this book if you like Savage Worlds and if you want a really good fantasy game with just a slight spin on it. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.